Hello, my name is Esmeralda Garcia. This is my speech 2 for Communications 101. Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here. My name is Esmeralda Garcia and today I will be discussing how honey is made. So first I want to start off by asking you guys a question of if you know how much our food relies on the pollution of bees. If you don't know, that is okay, because we will talk about that and we're going to talk about the process of how honey is made and how the creators of honey play such an important part in our ecosystem. So in order to know how honey is made, we have to know about their creators. These little tiny things that are called bees are the creators of honey. Hold on, give me. There are 3 different types of bees. First, we have a queen bee, which is the controller, or like the word says, queen of the beehive. Then we have drone bees, which are the male bees, and their only purpose in the beehive is to protect the queen and to reproduce with the queen. The last type of bee that we have is the worker bee, which is all the female bees. The worker bees are the ones that do all the work in creating honey and maintaining honey in a beehive. So to determine what bee is the queen bee, she will be the largest bee in the whole beehive. She's the fluffiest and has way larger wings than any of the other bees. There are many beehives all over the world, and each and every beehive has one queen bee, which is super interesting. And the total amount of bees in a beehive is roughly 80,000 bees. So imagine that for every 100 male drone bees, there's 5,000 worker bees that are creating honey each day. Now the fun part, how honey is made. So imagine that you are a tiny little bee and you have to be a female bee, and you will be called the worker bee, and you look at flowers and collect nectar all day. Nectar is the sweet liquid substance that is inside a flower. The bee collects the nectar by sucking on it with its teeth. The nectar is then processed in their stomachs that are called honey stomachs, and with the help of their saliva, the nectar turns into sugar. While the bee is collecting nectar, pollen is attaching to its fur. When the bee starts flying away, the pollen will then spread to each area that they are flying onto. So for example, if they're flying in a field, then all the pollen will go up to the field, creating more flowers and more nutrients for the plants. The plants that take pollen are flowers, such as sunflowers, and fruit plants such as strawberry plants and banana plants, even potato plants, which is really interesting. Once the worker bee reaches the beehive, she will pass the nectar to other bees through the mouth. So imagine that they are each, like a mama bird, when they feed their little birdies, they're collecting the nectar. This happens from bee to bee in order for the water content of the nectar to break down. The bee then stores the nectar in a hexagon cell in the beehive. If the nectar is still watery, the bee will use their wings to dry the water out of the nectar. Once there is roughly 20% of the water, bees feel that the consistency is correct, they will seal the honeycomb with their wax, and that is how honey is made. So by now you're probably wondering, why are bees so important to our ecosystem? Well, without bees, there would be no plants, no fruits, no nuts, and no animals. Some animals that rely on bees are any livestock like cattle, cows, goats, bears, and all the plants that rely on bees are fruit plants such as strawberries, bananas, peaches, tomatoes, potatoes, and etc. For this chain to continue, we must protect our bees. That is where the Save the Bees movement started. In the early 2000s, there was a decline of bees all over the world, so people decided to start a movement to save the bees. This is super important because not only do bees help our food chain and our ecosystem, honey also produces a lot of nutrition benefits for humans. Honey helps humans with blood sugar rather than other refined sugars, improves heart health conditions, is rich in nutrients, and helps restore throats like coughing, and can heal burn wounds. So if there's something that you can take away from my speech, is that every time you see a bee, you should thank them because they play such a huge part in this world. Thank you so much for listening.